And then real quick, I want to just make sure I've got audio good on you. Just give me first and last name spelled out for me.
Sure. Liat Feldman, Liatfeldman.
Alrighty. And how long have you lived in Israel?
I moved to Israel 2 years ago.
What made you decide to move over there?
I moved to Israel because I came here to visit when I was 16. I did a kind of exchange program with other Israeli teenagers, and I immediately fell in love with the people here, the warmth, the very community family feeling that we have here in Israel. And from then, I basically came back every single year and knew I wanted to move here.
And so this place that you've fallen in love with, it's become your home essentially for the past 2 years. To see it in the state it's in right now, how does that make you feel?
There are so many emotions that we have felt over the last almost 2 weeks now. First and foremost, it has been absolutely heartbreaking. There has been so much loss, so much hatred, so much fear that we have felt here. And that is basically, I think, what covers it mainly. But at the same time, there's so much resilience here, and the sense of community coming together in our time of need is really just incredible and makes me more proud than ever to be Israeli.
How has the community come together?
The community has been amazing here. Basically from the first or second day that this happened, the entire nation jumped into action. People have been putting together supplies for soldiers. We have been cooking meals for them. I've been a part of a volunteering effort where we are packaging up to 700 meals was our maximum for soldiers who are currently serving on base, for them to have a warm home-cooked meal for them. And the international effort has also been incredible. People have been donating, people have been organizing drives, and it's really been amazing to see all the support that we've had here.
Walk me through kind of those first beginning days whenever everything started, just where you were, what happened, what you heard, what you saw.
Sure. So when this all started, it was around 6:30 in the morning on October 7th. So I was sleeping, and my roommate came into my room around 7, saying that she had just woken up from an explosion outside. We were very confused. We didn't know what was going on, and slowly we started checking our phones and realizing that there had been a terrorist infiltration into the country. We started seeing horrific videos of people being murdered, kidnapped, just completely violated. And the first day was definitely the longest and hardest day of my life. It felt like we were all just glued to our screens, not believing what we were seeing, not believing that we could see even more horrible things, but it just kept flooding in, and we were fearful and just completely in shock.
And you're in Tel Aviv right now, right? How close is everything to your apartment building where you're at?
So Tel Aviv is in the center of the country, so our main issues right now are with the south and the north, so we are in a central location. With that being said, we still do have rocket sirens multiple times a day where we have to run to the bomb shelters, and there have been 2 direct hits in Tel Aviv. One was less than a mile away from my apartment, and the other one was less than a mile and a half from my apartment. So even though we are lucky to be in a more central position within the country, we are still feeling it on a daily basis.
You said you're hearing those sirens outside and you have to run. Do y'all have bomb shelters, or is it just like a place inside your apartment building that you're running to?
So for my building, we only have our staircase as our bomb shelter. Some buildings do have designated bomb shelters that they've created. But otherwise, otherwise, when the siren goes off, we have a minute and a half to run to our designated shelter. And in my apartment building,
So you'll have a minute and a half to get to shelter and to just pray and be safe, right?
Exactly, yes.
What's going through your head in those moments, like whenever you hear the sirens going off outside and all you're thinking about is running to that staircase, running to safety and taking cover?
Yes, every time it goes off, it's equally as shocking as the first time. You never expect it. It's something that is impossible to get used to. The first thought is just, let me get my shoes on and I need to run. Yeah, you only have a minute and a half. So basically you drop everything. It doesn't matter what you were doing and you just try to get to safety as quickly as possible.
Explain to me a little bit, why a minute and a half? Is that just kind of like, why that time period?
I'm not exactly sure how it all works, but we have rocket sirens where they can detect from some point where the rocket is going to hit. So I guess we have a minute and a half buffer of when they realize that the rocket is coming to hit Tel Aviv, and so that they can warn us as soon as possible. But we're lucky here in Tel Aviv to have a minute and a half because other communities in the south, for example, only have about 30 seconds to run to shelters. So many of the communities there have bomb shelters every couple hundred feet. I know that in the southern border communities, all of the playgrounds have tunnels that double as bomb shelters. So when children are playing, they can run inside the tunnel to safety.
So, and then correct me if I'm wrong, you're 24, right? You're
Yes.
24 years old, thousands of miles away from home, essentially living in the middle of a war. Does that not scare just the ever living mess out of you?
um, it is terrifying in many ways to be living in an active war zone. I absolutely fear for myself and my friends' safeties. Every time there's a rocket siren, immediately we are all messaging each other, are you okay? Were you inside? Are you in a shelter? But at this point, I can't imagine being anywhere else but here during this time. I really feel that the community here is so strong and so beautiful, and the only sense of comfort that I do have is knowing that I'm with my people going through this together.
How are y'all being there for each other? How are y'all comforting each other during this time?
People are really going above and beyond. People are opening their homes to people who have been displaced, people who are in unsafe communities. I know many people have adopted families where they have fully taken them in. They're cooking all their meals, they're doing everything for them. In terms of my friends and I, we really just try to get together as safely as possible and really just try to be there for each other. We are constantly talking about what is happening, constantly talking about our feelings, and we really are just trying to be a rock for one another. And when one person is feeling down, we try to pick each other up, and you know that the person will have you the next time that you're the one that's feeling down.
And then you mentioned earlier you're also doing some volunteering, community work to kind of keep yourself busy. What does that entail? What are you doing right now?
So there is a cafe near my apartment where an organization has taken over the kitchen. They have opened their kitchen to this organization to come and cook meals for soldiers who are actively serving. So we'll go there in the morning, we'll chop vegetables, there are people working in the kitchen, and then we have a packaging station where we are all packaging these meals. We are writing labels and notes to the soldiers to thank them for what they're doing for protecting us. And that's basically what we do, is just to provide comfort to these soldiers who, on October 7th went to bed or they were sleeping, not knowing that they were going to wake up and have to enlist the next day. These are normal people that want just a home-cooked meal and to be with their friends. So we're trying to provide them as much support as we possibly can.
And then you actually being there and just seeing all this and like being in the atmosphere, what is the support from overseas, like in the United States, for example? How have you felt that support?
The support from the United States has been really incredible overall. I have received dozens of messages from people who I haven't spoken to in years, people from my childhood. People are really worried and are checking in, and it has meant the world to us. A lot of the times we can feel alone when Israel is attacked. We're a tiny country, and unfortunately, many people are trying to destroy us. So when we feel the support from the international community, it's really just incredible, and we're so grateful for it.
And then I have to mention, I found out about you through a post your mom made on one of the Aiken Facebook groups and whatnot. Kind of what has your communication been like with your family? Are they there for you, supporting you, and kind of what's that like?
My family and I have been in basically constant communication since this has all started. I am trying to update them as much as possible, trying to let them know that I'm safe, and it's been really difficult for everyone. It's taking a toll on everyone who is involved in this in any way. And so they're providing me with support, and I'm trying to provide them with support as well by letting them know that I am safe and doing okay.
How are you keeping such a, I guess, positive outlook on all of this? Kind of like, because you mentioned earlier, despite it being a scary situation, you wouldn't be anywhere else. How are you keeping that outlook right now?
I think the only thing that is keeping me afloat is, like I said, the community coming together, the support that we feel here, the support that we feel from the international community. And something that was said publicly that I think really sums it up is we understand that here in Israel, we don't have anywhere else to go. So we have to keep moving. We have to stay positive. We have to really pray and believe that we are going to be okay because we don't have another option.
I think that kind of answered what my next question was going to be, but I was going to ask you, what should folks living thousands of miles away, again, I'll use the U.S. as an example, what should they take away from hearing just your testimony? Because, you actually live there, you're actually seeing this, you're not just some traveler who got trapped over there and can fly back to the United States.
What I would say is that we are human beings who are experiencing terrorism, and we are just trying to we are trying to keep our citizens safe, and we also are prioritizing getting our citizens back who have been captured and are being held hostage. I want to communicate that this is not just an Israeli problem, this is an international problem. There are hostages from multiple different countries currently being held there. And I think it's so important to mention that this has nothing to do with the conflict. This is really a country that is dealing with terrorism, and we are just trying to keep our citizens safe and healthy and protected.
What can we do to continue to support you all?
The biggest thing that the international community can do to support is to, first of all, keep spreading the truth, go to reliable sources and find out what is happening. Also, there are many ways to donate and get involved if people are interested in supporting in that way. But the most important thing to us is that the truth is getting out there, that we are suffering and we need the support of the international community in order to beat this.
Anything else that you want to add I didn't already ask?
I don't think so. I think that's it.
And then